Never forget the smell of gold and blood that filled the air as I watched the richest man in Babylon burn alive. Once upon a time, I grew up in a small village on the outskirts of Babylon. My family was poor, but we made do with what we had. My father was a farmer, and my mother was a skilled weaver. We lived a simple life, but we were happy. However, there was one man in Babylon who had more wealth than anyone could imagine. His name was Mr. Abdullah, and he was known as the richest man in Babylon. He owned gold mines, farms, and even had a private army. People said he made a pact with the gods to become wealthy. As a child, I would often hear stories about Abdullah's wealth and power. People would whisper about his grand mansion, his lavish parties, and his incredible generosity. But they would also whisper about the strange occurrences that surrounded him. People would disappear, only to be found dead in the most bizarre circumstances. Despite the rumors, I was fascinated by Abdullah. I wanted to know more about him, to understand how he had become so wealthy and powerful. One day, I received an invitation to Abdullah's mansion for a feast. I was shocked and honored, and I couldn't wait to attend. My parents were wary, but they eventually agreed to let me go. The day of the feast arrived, and I set off for Abdullah's mansion. As I approached the mansion, I was struck by its grandeur. The walls were made of solid gold, and the gates were guarded by fierce warriors. I was greeted by Abdullah himself, who welcomed me warmly. He showed me to the banquet hall, where the feast was in full swing. The room was filled with people from all walks of life, all of whom seemed to be having the time of their lives. The food was incredible, and the music was intoxicating. I danced and laughed with the other guests, feeling like I was part of something special. But as the night wore on, I started to notice strange things. Abdullah's guards seemed to be watching us, and the air felt thick with an eerie presence. I tried to brush it off, but the feeling only grew stronger. Suddenly, Abdullah stood up and announced that he would show us his greatest treasure. He led us to a secret room deep in his mansion, where a giant statue of a god stood. Mr. Abdullah started chanting and laughing, and the air began to fill with an eerie glow. I felt a presence behind me and turned to see a figure cloaked in shadows. The figure started speaking, saying that Abdullah's wealth came at a terrible cost. He had made a pact with a dark entity, trading the lives of his enemies and even his own family members for wealth and power. As the figure finished speaking, the room erupted in flames. Abdullah was trapped, and I watched in horror as he burned alive. The figure turned to me and said, "You should not have come here." And with that, everything went black. When I woke up, I was back in my village, with no memory of how I got there. But the smell of gold and blood lingered in my nostrils, and I knew that I had witnessed something truly evil. I tried to tell people what had happened, but no one believed me. They said I must have had too much to drink, or that I was trying to seek attention. But I know what I saw, and I know what I experienced. And I'll never forget the smell of gold and blood that filled the air as I watched the richest man in Babylon burn alive. I've been getting a lot of questions about what happened to Mr. Abdullah's mansion and his wealth. Some say it was cursed, while others claim it was seized by the authorities. But one thing is certain, the richest man in Babylon is no more. I've also been getting questions about the figure in the shadows. I don't know who or what it was, but I know it was not human. It was something ancient and evil, something that had been awakened by Abdullah's pact. I've been having nightmares about the event, and I've been struggling to sleep. I keep seeing Abdullah's face, and I keep smelling the gold and blood. I don't know how to shake off the feeling of dread that has been following me since that night. I hope you enjoyed this tale. If you do, please share, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel as I bring to you more interesting tales. Thank you.